Maria Taylor. Maria, thank you so much for taking time. We greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Why do you have the best intro music ever?
That's just the way we roll.
Seriously. Thoroughly impressed. It got me so hyped for the interview. I'm ready to roll now.
Now, I gotta ask, and this may be just a question just for me. Better volleyball player, you or Carrie?
Definitely me.
Okay. any smack talk there between you and Carrie Potts?
No, not at all. But I'm a little bit taller, so I think I
Right.
have the edge there. Got a little bit of bounce, you know what I mean? So she would have a hard time blocking me at the net. That's where I think I would have my advantage.
There you go. Well, first off, I want to start off by congratulating you on your move to College Game Day, kind of the mecca of college football. I mean, how did that come about? And I guess when they approached you, you're like, yes, where do I sign?
Yes. Actually, I think the call went like this. So next year, what you're going to do is College Game Day in the game. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
It was a surprise, to be honest. You know, I knew that the role was opening up, but that didn't necessarily mean that I was moving into the role.
Right.
I was very happy on SEC Nation and working with Tebow and Paul and Marcus and Laura every single week. So I was expecting to be there for another season. And I had taken a step away from sideline reporting for a year. So then I really wasn't sure if, okay, would they move me back into the role for the ABC game? But I'm so thankful. Like, this is what you dream of. I just want to work at the highest level of every sport that I cover. So to know that I'll be able to work a national championship game gets me really excited.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That sounds really thrilling personally for you. Got it. You're taller than some of the coaches out there. Is that awkward? I mean, I know that sounds kind of weird.
Majority of the coaches.
I know that sounds a weird question, but I mean, men are sometimes insecure about that, right?
I mean, they are. You know, I try to get like a wide base, so I can take 2 to 3 inches off my height by just spreading a little bit wider. I also like sideways a little bit and like hold the mic sideways to give them a little bit more height. But yeah, you're right. Football players are short too.
Yeah.
Maybe the quarterbacks or the DNs are kind of my height, but for the most part, you know, you get a running back, it's like a bowling ball, and he makes you look like a giant. So then I just look like a linebacker all the time. I've got wide shoulders too, so apparently I could have been a receiver or something.
There you go. Now you played volleyball at Georgia. You're from the SEC. You know the SEC. How did you get into reporting?
So my graduate degree was in broadcast news. Georgia had a great journalism school, and we used to have people come and cover our volleyball matches, and I just remember seeing them one day, and I'm like, that would be the best job ever, to just go and call volleyball matches. And that's all I thought it was, you know?
Right.
And so that was my first job. I worked for Comcast Sports South. I only did SEC volleyball, and I worked for GeorgiaDogs.com and did like play-by-play for volleyball and analyst work, and I did women's basketball too. I played 1 season at Georgia. And then after that, it's kind of just like steamrolled. And a lot of it happens because of media days. You guys know, you run into a bunch of people. That's how I met the individual at ESPN that brought me on to ESPNU to do football games. And literally from there, it's just been every year my role has changed or been different. Yeah,
you had a role at the SEC Network where you're working. Is there anything that can prepare you to dealing with the traveling circus that is Tim Tebow? I mean, people are drawn to him everywhere.
It is insane. I mean, and it is young, old, men, women. I mean, like 5-year-old kids somehow know who he is. And it's like, you weren't even alive when he won a national championship or the Heisman, and they know who he is.
Yeah.
Nothing can compare you. I don't know how. The great thing about it is Tim is so humble and willing to talk to every single person. I mean, it almost feeds into the frenzy, because everyone knows that he's going to come out and sign autographs and be so nice, and it's crazy to travel with him, but it's cool to witness, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm going to be 80 one day and be like, I remember that year when I traveled around with Tim Tebow, and everyone fell out when they saw him.
I think we all hope that we would be that gracious if we had that, but Tim just seems
but you never know.
Yeah, and Tim just seems to live it. Another guy that I really love is Marcus Spears. He is a hoot. I love talking to him, always learn something. He just seems like a genuinely good guy. Yeah,
Marcus is the best. I mean, that's my road dog. Is what I call him. Like, anytime it's like, hey, you need to go to this grocery store in Tuscaloosa or something. You want to go get some Sprites? Yeah, he's always down to go. And what I like about him, too, is he's not a guy trained in TV or, like, you know, some people are trained in radio. He's just a player. He played the game. He knows the game. He likes to have fun. And he's really genuine. The person he is on television is the same person you're going to find off, which is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, and might not be the case for another one of your former coworkers, Paul Feinbaum.
You know Paul.
Incredibly, I get this question all the time, what's he like? Paul's one of the nicest people I've ever met, but he plays almost this character.
I know.
On the Feinbaum
like
show.
literally some of the best conversations I've had about this industry and like my future have been with Paul Feinbaum. And to say that he's been in my corner and like pep talked me and positive talked me on, trying to get from the airport we're riding together to, somewhere in Arkansas, our hotel or something like that. And he has been the most genuine guy. I mean, he was the first guy to send me an email when the Nation news broke. And he said, hey, I'm so excited to have you on the team. Like, it's going to be a great season. Looking forward to working with you. And it's little things like that that people probably wouldn't think that he would do. Yeah. But he is all about, he is invested in other people. And that's what you got to really love about Paul. Other than, what he has to play. And I love what he is because if I'm on set with Paul, I don't have to ask the hard question. Right. Paul's going to ask the hard question. And so I love that.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of talks behind the scenes with Paul. Just an incredibly gracious guy, as successful as he is. Talking to Maria Taylor of now ESPN, formerly of SEC Network. Have you gotten any advice from Sam Ponder on the role that you're about to step into?
She reached out too, and I thought that was really sweet. Like immediately sent a message, said if you need anything, call me, text me. If it gets in the middle of the season and you just want to complain about something, like I will be right there for you and be your ear. And I do plan on calling her before the season really gets kicked off and just see what her best strategies were, things that she found made her life easier throughout the grind, because I know it wasn't easy for her, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a difficult road. Like I love the job and I definitely want to do it, but I know it's not going to be easy. So I'm going to pick her brain before we get started to really know what to expect.
Yeah, when you're going on to something that's been so groundbreaking, it's such a staple in people's lives, do you go in wanting just to be a part of the team, or do you have ideas that you want to help improve the show?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like you gotta get into the situation, look around, watch, understand what everyone's role is, and see how can I complement it. You know what I mean? Obviously it's not my job to bring a ton of opinions or anything like that, but maybe it's the stories. I do want to tell stories, so bringing feature ideas or staying in touch with the players that are on the field and being like, hey, being on campus at Oklahoma or whatever, I found out that this is going on. So maybe that's something that can help create a discussion, and it doesn't always have to be just to put me on TV. Like I'm willing to give you a nugget to help make that discussion better. So that's what I'm going to do. It's kind of like being on a team. You got to sit down on the bench. I'm the one that likes to, I want the game to start, then I want to come in. Right. You know what I mean? Because I want to get the flow of the game first, then roll in and add my little 2 cents. So
you've had some experience doing sideline reporting before. What do you find the hardest to do?
Yeah.
Is it the awkward halftime interview that you never know? It could get volatile.
It's totally the halftime interview for so many reasons, because a lot of times you have yourself in a perfect position to catch the coach, and then all of a sudden there's an interception or something, and now we got to get the other coach, and he's going into the other locker room. So one is like physically positioning yourself to not miss the coach, because they will run right into the locker room and not think twice about whether or not they're getting interviewed. So that's one. And then just like you say, the emotions of whether or not they even want to do the interview, or talk about the things that you are asking them. Because it's our job to service the fans. So I know a fan at home is going to be asking about whatever play just happened that didn't work out in your favor. So I'm going to have to ask why you called it or whatever. So, it's a catch-22, but it's also the most exciting and gratifying. Like, what would my job be if I wasn't doing that halftime interview? What's my point?
It's a tough job because from a criticism standpoint, a lot of times the coaches will flat out avoid answering what you've asked.
For sure.
And if you press them on it, then you're labeled as difficult to work with, and the fans get on you. I mean, how do you approach that?
You got to just balance it. I think a key is neutral questions. So let the coach get on his own team, or just not inserting my own opinion into it by not saying your defense played so poorly, how do you fix it? Right. Or just be like, what is your assessment of the defense? Coaches are pretty honest, like brutally honest most of the time, so he's going to come right at his defense. So, as long as you don't take things personally, which I don't, you can't. Former player, when you played sports, like you don't take anything personally. Like you're going to get criticized, you're going to get coached, whatever, just supposed to roll off your back. So it's not a big deal.
Who's the most difficult halftime interview you think that you've done? Or do you think you have a perceived notion of who might be the most difficult?
I think the hardest one that I've done was at Texas Tech. And I was working with Tommy Tuberville. And I don't even think I got the interview. Like, maybe he just walked past me and I was like, never mind. That was before I learned that it's like, no, you have to do it. Step in front and you have to do it. That might have been like year 2. I was still totally afraid. Like, I don't even know why I was there. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so confused. That was scary. Yeah. But now if I saw him, I'd be like, hey, like, how's it going?
Wrapping up here with Maria Taylor, who's now going to be working with College Football Game Day and also the Saturday night primetime game, right? what about your Bulldogs?
Yeah.
Year 2 of Kirby Smart. Big expectations in between the hedges?
Absolutely. I think he's done such a great job recruiting, and some of those young guys are really going to get a chance to play, which is going to be cool. Year 2 of Jacob Eason, I think it's going to be fun to watch, and not to mention that his backup could probably easily be a starting true freshman if you wanted to be. Yeah, and so with Fromm there, now you got a guy really pushing Jacob, so he's going to be even more invested in exactly what he's doing. And it's not just about being ready for the game. It's about I'm not losing my spot either. And I think that gives players an edge. And the defense returns so many starters that I think it's going to be exciting to see them all on the field, see them all healthy, playing under Kirby's system, and in another year under Kirby. Like, there's got to be some excitement that's brewing between the hedges.